Hi everyone, it's only me. Feel like now's the time to do a video, give you guys an update as to what's been going on with us. So the last video I told you it was the end of June that we had gone in for our embryo transfer. I think it was the 29th of June. Today's the Friday the 28th of July, so it's a month since we went in. I did plan to do a video sooner, but lots has been going on, so I think now's the time I'm ready to post something onto YouTube for you guys. Yeah, where to begin? The original plan was to do a video and show you guys that I was pregnant, and you can probably think why she's saying was, but unfortunately 2 weeks ago I miscarried. So we've experienced some real highs and we have come crashing down with the biggest low possible. In a way, I think personally I would have preferred it not to work, because then I wouldn't have felt the loss so much. So things were going great. I did test early, and it was the best news ever. Come running out to Jake to say to him we had a very faint pregnancy test. I do have them somewhere still here, and I was going to show you guys if the story sort of turned out to be different. But they were getting stronger and stronger day by day, and I felt great. It was really good. My boobs were so sore and things were just looking like they were going in the right direction. And this was, as I said, 2 weeks ago. So we went to a friend's for a barbecue on Saturday. All was good. And Sunday was probably the worst day of my IVF journey possible. So I woke up and went to the toilet, no pains, nothing, and went for a wee, wiped, and there was blood on the tissue. So I am sorry, this is going to be a bit graphic, but I think people should know what our journey is. It's not so much even giving advice, because I would always say to someone, if you're going through any light bleed or anything, you have hope till they tell you otherwise. So I had very light bleeding, and within the hour I went to the toilet again and I passed a very small clot. Now the blood at this point was quite dark. I rang NHS Direct and they said to be on strict bed rest because it was a Sunday. They said the pregnancy unit wasn't open. If I'm going into A&E, being a Sunday morning, A&E could be still full up with people from Saturday night, drunks. So they said, the best thing you can do is rest. We don't know what's going on at the moment. You could just be bleeding during your pregnancy. So we literally did do strict bed rest, where all day I laid in bed and did nothing, which was miserable as hell, because I just was getting this light bleed every time I was going for a wee. So we went into King's, into the early pregnancy unit on the Monday, and by then I was starting to get cramping in my back and my stomach at the same time, a heavy contraction feeling, and I thought, this isn't right. And Jake had hope at the time. He said, look, till someone says something, you can't give up. Things have been going right. Don't give up on it yet, Frankie. And typical Monday morning, early pregnancy unit, we got there at just gone 9, was advised to turn up at 9 o'clock when it opened. There must have been easily 20 couples in front of us. And it was a first come first served basis, so we had to sit and wait a long time, and I think I got seen about 12:30 that day. But whilst I was waiting in the waiting room, I was going to the toilet and the bleeding got very heavy, and by then it was bright red blood. And I went to the toilet, knew I was next in the queue, and I passed a clot probably the size of my palm, and I just thought, this isn't right. So they brought me in, did a scan, and she could see the sac, but couldn't find the baby's heartbeat. The sac was the right size for the time of pregnancy. So I was 5 weeks pregnant at that point, in my 6th week of pregnancy. And she said the sac was clear there, but the way, the position of the scan, she did say to me, the sac was a lot lower in the uterus than she would have expected to see. And considering I was in a lot of pain and bleeding extremely heavy at that point, where I was bleeding onto the floor, onto the bed when she was doing the scan, because it's an internal scan, she said things were showing that I was having a threatened miscarriage. They couldn't call it a miscarriage as such at that point because the sac was still visible during the scan. She said, obviously, you are still pregnant, but you're a threatened miscarriage. I knew I'd lost the baby at that point, and Jake still had hope because he said, well, it's still in you. And but I knew even my urine sample was bright red at that point, and at 5 weeks pregnant, you shouldn't be bleeding that heavy, and passing a clot the size of my hand wasn't right. So we went to get some food because I had actually not eaten for a while, and Jake said, you need to keep your strength up to look after yourself. And we went down to like little sandwich place, Marks Spencer's sandwich place, and we sat outside, and it was a really hot day that day. And I just ate a piece of sandwich and had a drink, and I stood up, and I felt a clot pass, and it was in my underwear. And I just said to Jack, I need to get to the toilet now. Like, we were waiting for a cab to arrive to take us home. I passed a clot probably that big, and I just knew. I was like, that's the baby. I've passed. The contraction feeling just stopped. So, but you know, even at that point, we were like, I had passed the clot before the scan, but just something inside of me had said that was the baby. Now, for some bizarre reason, why, I don't know, I took a picture of it to show Jake, because obviously he couldn't come in the ladies' toilet, because I was so like confused and like panicking, like what do I do? And I mean, as if my husband wants to see a picture of a large clot, that I've passed. But I just thought I need to show Jake. Like, I was just so confused at the time about. It was just almost like a plug had been let go of me. I just knew this was different to the other clot that I'd passed and the smaller one the day before. It was just like a gentle tug sensation, and it was almost like a gush, and then it was done. The pain just went straight away. So I went home, and bizarrely, I was bleeding just pure blood all day, and I was exhausted by it all. I was all cried out from the day before. And in the following morning, I woke up and the bleed had stopped completely, but then I was getting such heavy pains. And I rang the pregnancy unit and told them that we'd been in the early pregnancy unit. I had a threatened miscarriage, but the bleeding stopped and I was in a lot of abdominal pain. So they said, can you come back to the pregnancy unit? We can't scan you in a fertility unit, but can you go there, because we'd have to send you there anyway, and just ask them to do a rescan. So we did that, and unfortunately Jake wasn't there, but my sister came with me. And we went in, sat down, we were seen within half hour. And it was the same doctor, and she said, come on then, on the bed. And I explained all my symptoms. She said, it doesn't seem quite right to have been bleeding so dramatically to suddenly stop. And she scanned me, and she was scanning for quite a while. I was just watching the ceiling and looking over at my sister, who was looking everywhere but at me at the time, just the stress of it all. And the doctor turned the screen round and she said, "Do you remember what I showed you the other day?" And I said, "Yeah, the sac was lower." And I'd explained to her about the clot I'd passed at the hospital whilst I was waiting for the cab a couple of days before. And she showed me the scan and she said, "You know, you're not pregnant anymore. The sac's passed. The baby's gone." And she said that probably more than likely, going by the sensation, was you passing the baby. So I had a small clot in inside me. So at that point, they were calling it an incomplete miscarriage. And she said, "You probably will start bleeding in a few days." And lo and behold, the following day, the heavy bleeding started again, and the pains were intense. And I passed the final clot probably the day after. And that's been it. And I think the bleeding has near enough come to an end. I've still got light bleeding going on at the moment, but no pain whatsoever. But my body, I feel like, because now I've come off the progesterone and I've come off the estrogen, I feel like I've been hit by a bus. My whole body just aches all the time. I actually was off sick yesterday and I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't lift my neck up. There's definitely been some form of withdrawals from leaving the hormones. So that's where we're at the moment. So what's next? So we do have an appointment with King's next 4 weeks time. So by then, from the miscarriage, it would have been a 6-week wait. Jake and I are sort of deciding, obviously we will go again. I'm not going to give up, but I am now sort of toying with the idea of having 2 embryos put back inside me this time, because we know it was bad luck. We know it sounds like the baby's heart didn't develop, and it's just pure bad luck. But I don't know how many times I can do such a long protocol. It's been 7 months now, and we've thought about it, and Jake's in agreement. We are going to push to have 2 put inside me for the next transfer. So should bad luck again be on our side, that hopefully, if something was to happen, and touch wood it doesn't, we may have a chance with another embryo still inside us. But saying that, obviously the risk of twins and the higher risk in pregnancy, but I can't keep doing this. It's just heartbreaking. It is physically draining, and it's just not fair. It's just not fair, is how I sum it up. If it's not bad enough and shitty enough that you've got to go through IVF, to also have to, lose your chance when you've done the conception bit happened, and the baby implanted, and the baby was growing, and it's just a load of shit, really. So, that's it really in a nutshell. We've had some great support from friends and family, and to those of you that are watching, I want to thank you. All your messages that you've been sending me have kept me going and kept me strong, and I've not been as tearful as expected. So I just want to say I love each and every one of you. And Jake and I will come back fighting again. So I'll do a video in a few more days. It was just hard to sort of tell you this bit of what's happened, but I think you've all been encouraging me along my journey, especially like Melissa A. I'm sure you're waiting to hear what's going on, and you deserve to know what's going on. So, but anyway, I will speak to you guys soon, and take care. Bye.